Good night, Erica. Now I'm seeing. I don't know. Just now I started off with this song, and Facebook blocked the video. Hey, Shanette. Nice seeing you. Okay, so usual, share the live, share the live, share the live. Get some people in here. Let's get going. I think they shall drink all my tea. Jeez. Mm. Ooh, delicious. Jeffrey! Welcome, Jeffrey. Hey, Ransel. Oh my goodness. Ransel, when is my invitation to Beck we're going to get here? I've been looking in the mail and I'm not seeing anything. So you have to fix that. Jeffrey, I think this is the first time you've been on my live. I think this is the absolute first time you've been on my live. Um, Tonight I want to do things a little different. I have a young lady on here tonight. What I want to do, right? Hey Nyla, you see Nyla's my home girl, Nyla with Jeffrey. Once Nyla touched down, the live share. So share the live, people. Share the live. Tag a friend. Share a live. So I want to start every program featuring a woman in business. Now, since I've been barred from teaching, I have started my own hustle. I still do make my fascinators, but I also do cinnamon buns. Hey, Rose. And it has made me appreciate more what it's like to start a business. It's never easy. And so it's always important, if you could, to just help someone, just give them one extra push. And so I want to see if I could begin each live by featuring a woman in business. My little thing. Hey, Preston. And so this evening, I have a young lady online here waiting to get in. Hey, Rosalie, share the live, people, share the live. We started a little bit late because Facebook blocked my video. Exactly, Nyla. It's a way to empower other women. They can't take anything from me, and I can't take anything from them. In the sense that doing this does not hurt me, and you know, they can't do anything to hurt me. So there's nothing wrong if you have a platform or if you have the means to push somebody else in business, you do so. I get a lot of support from people now, you know, people like Miserable Jeffrey. um, Jeffrey is one of those persons who shows up even when um, we don't go knocking. So it's always important to give back to other people in whatever way you could. Um, I get all sorts of support, like I said. Um, Nyla, Sherian, Corrine, all of these people step up from time to time, even if it's just to say, hey, you know what, hang in there. So I have Ladisha Fraser with me. I want to build up the live a little bit more before I bring her on screen, because I think it's really important that she gets this push. To be honest, I don't know much about her business. I we spoke a little bit today, and she told me a bit, and that's all I need. Ooh, I'm going to try now to see if I could. There's some stuff that she sent me here. Mm. Okay, you know what? When she comes on, she'll be able to tell you about her things. Would I be able? Okay, I should be able to do it this way. Let me see. All right. So I should be able to get that done like that. Hey, Doug. Good night. Good night, Sharon. Hey, Judy. Okay, so um, I'm just trying to sort out some of her stuff here. And then as soon as I do that, just bear with me, people. Bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. And I want to talk a bit about that whole thing with CJ. I'm supposed to be joined sometime later with Tassie David. And there are other things that I wish to highlight that we'll discuss tonight. So let me just get in here. So share the live. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, okay. Certain things you just can't do until you get on here. That's the problem. That's the problem. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to bring Miss Fraser in. Ladisha, you hearing me?
Good night. Yes, I can.
Okay, great. There you are. Welcome, darling. Welcome. Okay,
Thank you.
so as I was explaining to everybody, I'm just gonna give you, a few minutes to talk about your business, what you do, um, where you're from, all the information that you want to get out in
Mhm.
relation to your business. I'm going to give you at least 5 minutes if we need that much time. So tell us about it. So first off, what's your business?
Okay. Well, the name of the business is Value Zone. Um, I actually operate from home at the moment. Um, like yourself, I am one of the teachers who um, is unable to go to my classroom at this
Mm-hmm,
particular point in time. So, what I do is a variety store basically.
mm-hmm,
I would post sometimes on Facebook, mostly to my WhatsApp page. I do have two Instagram accounts, which I would share. With the business, what I do is deliveries. So when
mm-hmm,
you place your order, you would also indicate which day you would like it
mm-hmm.
delivered to Kingstown, and I'll do that.
So I'm
Uh,
assuming you deliver only to Kingstown.
um, it's not only to Kingstown,
Mhm.
but that's the basic location.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So, all right, you say it's a variety, so and you sent me some photos.
Yes.
So I am going to try now to see if I can get some of these photos up. So
Okay.
let me do a little share here. And you could just, give us a little rundown because you said it's a variety store.
Yes.
So you could still
Sure.
say exactly what is what.
Before I go there, I am also going to let persons know that I am opening up a location in Kingstown.
Okay, what's
So
that location?
this is opposite Carrez Car Park. There's a
Hmm.
new shipping agency there, Kestrel.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Mm,
Okay,
I'm
there
not.
was once a Chinese store going down from Ace Hardware.
Mm. That is going. Okay, so going down from Ace Hardware. Is that
Mhm.
leading to where KFC used to be up there?
No.
Or
Um,
tell
okay,
me.
so
Mm.
let's say we're going down to VJ's.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's on that hand.
Okay, good. Okay.
Right. Good.
That's a
So we yes, so from next month, June, I should be ready, up and running. And I'm hoping that everybody can tell a friend, tag a
mhm.
friend, and just make a little run upstairs and just see what is there available. So as we talk about variety, I offer gift sets, um,
Okay.
perfumes, watch sets, um, toys, almost anything basically in terms of the gift department. We also do a little bit of men clothing, slippers. We're now into cake toppers, so we're focusing on that quite a bit as well. So you can get
Mhm.
your flowers, your sprinkles, um, your acrylic toppers, butterflies, things to accessorize your cake.
Okay.
So
And
the
let me ask you something. Now, these products that you send me, these photos,
yes,
are obviously things that you have.
yes.
Now, let's say I saw something online
Hmm.
and I would like to purchase it, but I don't have a card or anything like that. Would you be able to facilitate something like that?
Yes, I also do that. So
Okay.
you can forward your link to me and
Mm-hmm.
I give you the calculation and you we arrange a deposit, your
Okay.
order is brought, and when you collect, you pay the balance.
And the deposit,
Mhm.
is it refundable or non-refundable?
If your item doesn't ever come, of
Mm-hmm.
course, it
It's
would be,
refundable.
of course.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm thinking, sometimes people order things and they might give you a little money or whatever it is that you arrange in terms of
Mhm.
deposit. And then, sometimes we get things and we're like, oh, but this is not what I ordered. It's not what I wanted. So
Okay.
that's why I asked if it's refundable or non-refundable, because
Hmm.
I know we order things and
Hmm.
not through a fault of the person who orders,
Hmm.
but things don't always look the way they appeared online.
That's true. But in that sense, I cannot be responsible for that aspect.
Right.
Because if you send a link and you said, this is what I want,
Hmm.
then, you know,
Yeah.
right,
And that is understandable because,
right.
like I said, you can't be faulty. But I know some people would be like, but isn't that this me want? Or shall we look and whatever? But
Yes,
I'm
I
certain that
understand.
might pop up sometime.
Yes, but
So,
in the case where somebody does order and the item
mhm,
does not come, of course, I will refund that person.
okay. And how long have you been doing this? The business?
Approximately 6 years.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
but I started, of course, like everybody else,
Mhm.
very, very small. And over time, your business would grow as a friend tells another friend.
Exactly. And that is why I've started doing this, because I think, you know what? We need to really and truly start pushing each other. Things are hard, and there are lots of women right now, teachers like us who are not teaching, and we need to survive. We need
Yes.
to survive. And the fact is, we have skills that we could use. So if I have a platform and I'm able to at least give one person every evening a little push, I will feel better.
Yes. And Trust me, I really sanction this initiative. I think it is something that will warm our hearts and will help us to reach even higher heights. Things that I know some of us would have thought it may not have been possible. But
Mhm.
I want to thank you for this opportunity for myself and for others.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And people, if you're on, this is one reason to share this live so that we could give Ladisha a push head tonight and get her business, you know, booming. All right. It's not easy for any of us. And when you see somebody who's actually trying to make a living, an honest living, and a woman who's out here holding her head up high and using her skills to gain, what she needs in terms of finances, you have to help. You have to help. And the thing is, she's not asking for a handout. you know, she is not on the streets begging. She is actually doing the business. So everybody's going to win here. She's going to win in terms of sales, and you would win in terms of getting your product. So support her business. Run the name by me again.
Value Zone.
Value Zone.
Yes.
And you said you were going to open soon in Kingston, right?
Yes. That would be for next month.
Next month. So give us the location again in Kingston for those who missed it.
Okay, so it will be opposite Carez Car Park. Um, Kestrel, the new shipping company, is located there presently. That's on the first floor. So I would be sharing the first floor
Mhm.
with Kestrel.
Good. And again, just run us down in terms of your services.
Okay, so we provide a variety of items, household items, groceries, toys, gift sets, a little bit of those things for men, um, slippers, and so on. And also, we are looking at cake toppers. So, for all those persons who are with their small business doing cakes, I'm there at
Mhm.
your service.
Okay, what sort of cake toppers do you do?
For at this present moment, we're doing the flowers,
Mhm.
the sprinkles, the acrylic toppers. Um,
The acrylic toppers would be like those that you like the themed stuff.
we're not there yet, as
Mm-hmm.
I said yet. But the acrylic
Okay.
toppers would be those that say happy birthday and they have the shape maybe of a
Okay.
star and yes.
Okay. Okay. I
Right.
understand.
Right. So we also have chocolates, the Ferrero Rocher chocolates as well to
Do you have
decorate the cake.
dark chocolates?
Um, we're getting there. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry
Because
at all.
when you start talking dark chocolate,
Then I'm
especially
calling your name.
among, yes, I like my chocolate bitter. I like my chocolate with cocoa pieces in there. I like, oh, look, the more bitter it is, the happier I am.
All right. Well, I keep that note.
So
There's
when you get some dark chocolate in, please call me. And
no
those of you viewing, you just go down there and see if she has any and just put down the money to me, please, and say that is for Adriana.
there's one other thing I want to pinpoint.
Mhm.
Now, there are many persons who, of course, do a little business, maybe have a tray and stuff like that, right? So I normally sell snacks in bulk. For example, let's say the gummy bears, 6 pound bags,
Mhm.
the big bags of chocolates, Skittles, and so on. So
Okay.
if you want to make a little dollar, I have your back covered. And
Mhm.
my items are normally reasonable because I know the struggle is real.
Oh yeah, we know. We know the struggle is real. We know the struggle is real.
That's true.
But the thing is, we are struggling. We're not giving up, and we're not succumbing to the pressure.
Hmm.
We are just struggling, and it's a struggle in which we will build. ourselves, and
Mhm.
it's a struggle in which we could build others
Yes, and the support, we must support each other.
all the time, especially now. So, Miss Fraser, by the way, which school were you teaching at before?
Yes. Lodge Village Government.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yes.
Oh dear Lord. Mm. I could just imagine what is happening there now, because I know a lot of the schools are really messed up, and Lodge Village is one of those schools. As I have a sister who attended that school
Mhm.
ages ago. She might not want me saying ages ago, but it was ages ago. And I know that they were doing quite well recently in terms of literacy and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Do you give extra classes? Do you give classes to students or no?
Not right now. I was doing STEM classes,
Right.
but I'll soon be back there.
Okay. And what's your teaching specialty?
Well, my degree is in mathematics education.
Oh, we need to talk. No, we need to talk because um everybody knows this. I cannot do math. Okay, I can't do math. Put
Math is
something
lovely.
in English, I will do that, but I can't do math. And so now my daughter brought home some stuff the other day with conversion and whatever. The only things I could convert is when I'm baking, okay? And I go on Google and I pull up a conversion table and you put in whatever and Google does it for you. Good job, Google. But I cannot sit to teach her anything math related or whatever. So you might be hearing from me for
Not
more
a
than just the dark
problem.
chocolate. All right. So once again, thank you for joining us. And
Thank you.
your number, give me your number. Well, give us your number
Yes.
quickly. So
So my number is 527-1738.
okay, let me see if I can put that up there so that people, and one more time the name of the business.
Value Zone.
So value zone, and the number is
527-1738.
527-1738. So let me run that again. 527-1738. So that's it there.
Yes. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome, darling. You're welcome. And if at any other point you wish to come back on, you have some new product that you wish to show, some new service that you wish to talk about, just inbox me and let me know. And of course, this platform will be open to you to get that done. And for all those who are listening and looking on right now, the offer is also extended to you. I wish to do this every Wednesday night to have at least one person here. If it's more than one, I'm fine with that. And I will just give them, the first 5-10 minutes to talk about their business, whether it's a service or a product that they are doing. Good. So thank you, Ladisha.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right, bye bye. Okay, people. Bum, bum, bum. Do, 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 do. Mm, mm, mm. Okay. All right. So, yes. Good night. Hey, Dolores. Good night. Oh, and you see me still squinting? That's because I forgot the name of the person that was recommended last week for me to go and get my eyes tested so I can get the prescription. I clearly forgot the name. So if that person is on tonight and they could remind me of the name, I'd love that. Oh, thank you, Dolores. Mm. I tried. I like to come on here and you know, and dazzle y'all with head wraps. No, honestly, I like to do that. I love head wraps. At my grandmother's funeral, my aunt spoke about that. That she loved hair pieces and so forth. And I smiled because that meant or means that I've had two, well, one is still alive, so this past tense, present tense thing. Okay. Two grandmothers who love pretty things on their head. Look, the one in Trinidad, she ain't easy. She ain't easy. When you see she going to her little Baptist praise and they say she put on her fancy dress and her fancy head wrap to match. When my grandfather was alive and you see it's what I'm stepping out. So yeah, I love the head wraps. I love it. So that was Miss Ladisha Fraser, and she has a business that's keeping her occupied and fed and you know contributing to society still. She's a teacher by profession, and not just any other ordinary teacher. She is a teacher with a degree in mathematics. Now, isn't that funny that we would send home all of these trained teachers for no reason? And I say no reason because to say that teachers were sent home because um, they're not vaccinated is total rubbish. Total rubbish. If this government and if the Ministry of Education cared one iota about our students, our teachers won't be at home. Our teachers will not be at home. But I blame parents and I blame students because you fail to understand the power that you have. You fail to hold yourselves accountable for your own action or your own inaction. You're failing miserably at this. The minute teachers were threatened, parents and students should have been out on the picket line in front of the Ministry of Education. But that didn't happen. And so, little demon you all have as Prime Minister felt emboldened. And so he went along with what he was doing and sent home teachers. And now you are seeing that students in hard areas, students in areas where students in schools where the majority are from poor areas, they're still without teachers. Fifth form students who are just months away from their exams are without teachers. And parents aren't saying anything. Parents and these students aren't at the Ministry of Education picketing. And again, I made a comment and I said, look at it now in terms of schools. Poor people, children. Poor people, children. Because this would not happen at the girls' high school or the St. Vincent Grammar School. It would not happen. And I've taught at both schools. So nobody come in here to try to school me about what takes place at these schools in terms of placing teachers. I always say to people, if I did not start off my teaching profession at JHS, I would not have been appointed as a graduate teacher with the speed at which I was appointed. It was not going to happen because I met people teaching who were teaching long before me, and some of them still have not been appointed as a graduate teacher. But from day one, you hear me? From day one, I was appointed as a graduate teacher because of where I started and how I started there. So don't come on here and tell me any nonsense about what anybody trying to beat up. I'm speaking facts, plain facts. This wouldn't happen at those schools. And if it if somebody in the ministry overslept and it happened, believe you me, those parents would have been calling down at the ministry every single day until a teacher was sent. They were not going to be home saying, well, the ministry said they ain't get no teacher for all, yo. So me don't know what we're going to do. No, no, no. They would have been on their phones. They would have been on their phones. Hello, this is Dr. Adriana King. I'm aware that my daughter, who's a fifth form at the girls' high school, does not have an English 8 teacher. And so I'm calling to find out exactly when that matter will be rectified. She has exams soon, and so they would need to have a teacher. Case closed. And you would see how fast a teacher from GP Eustace, intermediate high school, wherever, gets transferred. You would see how fast. Because 10 phone calls like that and the people at the ministry, their head start to spin. It seems as though they're muted indeed, Lavette. It seems as though they're muted. And Sugarcane, watch. No backbone. No backbone. And that's why I would always speak so highly of people like Sister Maureen and Sister Pat, because they demanded what they needed for their schools. And it wasn't about getting favor from anybody. They didn't care about rocking the boat. If their school needed something, they asked for it. Principals know. And I guess it's because many of them are not worth the positions. They know that they only got through because they went on bad talk somebody, or they just vote in the right way, and that is known. And so they got promoted to principal. So they don't want to rock the boat, and they wouldn't ask what their school needs. And like I said, the students and parents sit there and they too are quiet. So now we have schools months before exams without teachers. Months before exams without teachers. But everybody's quiet. Everybody is quiet. Quiet, quiet, quiet. Why is that? Why is that? My child can't be needing a teacher with external exams due. And I sit down quiet. That ain't gonna. Y'all are the same parents who would say that teachers don't love the children because they didn't want to be vaccinated. Well, you don't love your child either because somehow you don't want to rock the boat. I could say that. I could say that. Just like you want to say teachers don't love students and so they're not vaccinated, I could say you don't love your student. Yeah, I'm your children. Or you'll be fighting for them, you'll be fighting for their right. And don't sit and say, oh, you value education, because if you value education, you would ensure that the best teachers are in your classroom or in your child's classroom teaching your child. You would ensure that. But instead, you out here trying to help this government to save face. But your child suffering. But let me see this, y'all. Y'all ain't going to get no special exams this year, you know. For those of you who sitting down in these hard area schools and not demanding teachers to come and teach your children, you're not picketing the Ministry of Education, you're not picketing the Prime Minister's office, but you're waiting. You're waiting. What are you waiting for? You're not getting any special exams. You're getting the same exam like everybody else. Your child is getting the same exam. When you're going to wake up and realize that you need to push for better for your children, when are you going to wake up? Sanitation workers. Just imagine this, eh? Sanitation workers were sent home because they were not vaccinated. They were sent home. But the place getting stinker and stink. And it's tourist season. And people coming in and they see the filth in Kingstown. And the workers that they have, they're working hard. But they're not enough. And Vincentians would have an attitude right now. It's like, okay, I went to take vaccine to do what? To go and collect a halfpenny? Well, no, please. I will keep my work day. That's the general attitude of a lot of people right now. They're not going to be taking a vaccine for no halfpenny. So here comes the Ministry of Health. Here comes Cuthbert Knights, the dear Pierce in the Ministry of Health. Remember when he was home, the whole COVID thing happening? Yes. Here comes the dear minister. Well, first it Pierce to send out a memo. A memo, eh? Imagine you getting rehired. Hey, Carrie, you getting rehired through a memo. And the memo is like, well, if I want to come back from work, I could come for it. And if I don't want to come, I don't come. That was the tone of Cuthbert's letter. If you want to come, come. You know what, come, not come. My business. Are you want the money on me? So make up mind and hurry up. Come if you come. No apology for the unfair dismissal. No letter to each person to say, we're sorry. We're sorry. We messed up and we are sorry. Nothing. Absolutely nothing like that. Just if I come do what they jeez man. Do what they. But this is how they continue to treat these people. And not just these people. This is how they continue to treat Vincentians with utter contempt and disrespect. Contempt and disrespect. So fire them. Okay, but them day. And then you realize they're working getting done. And people probably coming in on the tourist boats and be like, oh Jesus, this is nastiest place on the stop. And they probably got threatened. Maybe that's it. Maybe they got threatened by a few that they're not coming back here if the place look like this. But they may know the place always look like this. They may know that. And here now, sanitation workers have been rehired. Health is wealth. So I'm glad that they were rehired. I'm glad that they are now back on the job so that Kingston could look whatever. But I have to beg the question, what about teachers? What about teachers? Health is wealth, but they say education is the key to success. So we've taken care of the health is wealth part. What about education? Are we going to give our children the key or not? I know the Ralph fights and the minions ain't go like that whole thing that education is key. They go take it and get all over the weight. Maybe this is why some of them not standing up because they don't want to give the children the key. But see, labor people out here, coming to think of it, but see some labor people out here who sure ain't get no teacher and they don't want to give them the key. You know, I don't put anything past Vincentian at this stage. I do not put anything past Vincentians at this stage. They probably don't want to give their children the key. And so that is why we're here now with schools still not having teachers. Wow. Carmichael says Doug Ford is giving our healthcare workers 5,000, I guess, $100 incentive and begging them to come back to work. And Madzat cracks me up here, but I love the way Madzat thinks. Madzat asked a question today. Have they sent home the vaccinated sanitation workers as yet? Because remember, the unvaccinated, they were sent home to protect the vaccinated who are at work. So now that the unvaccinated are back at work, with logic, you would send home the vaccinated to ensure that they're kept safe. Not so? Because now you have the unvaccinated back, so you have to get rid of the vaccinated to protect them. That was the logic. And you are still not fighting this. You still are not fighting this. When they said that they were going to send home teachers, it's as though nobody saw the stupidity in this. Because you're saying you're sending home teachers because you're going to protect children. But children were coming from homes with people who are not vaccinated. Children were riding vans to school with people who are not vaccinated. Children were sitting in classrooms with each other and they were not vaccinated. But yet, you forced teachers out of their jobs because vaccinating a teacher somehow protects a child who walks around in this unvaccinated place. That was the first level of the stupidity from Ralph, Simone, Jimmy, Cuthbert, and all of them. Then the second line was this: you were made to believe that once you were vaccinated, you were safe. You were not going to get COVID. And even if you got COVID, you were not going to be hospitalized. And certainly, you were not going to die. And I've sat on this program from time to time, and I've shown you figures from the NHS in the UK, and I have shown you their reports in relation to how many people were in the hospital at different points. And the last two reports that I showed you showed that the vaccinated were the ones in ICU. They were the ones in the intensive care unit. And I said to you over and over and over again, if you wish to be vaccinated, go and take your vaccine. But you must also respect those who wish not to be vaccinated, because the vaccinated are not a cure-all and they do not prevent anything. And you're called us, anti-vaxxers, and we're trying to run down the government, and all the other beautiful things that you like to see. But here we are. Here we are. It's the 9th of March, and unvaccinated sanitation workers have been called back, but unvaccinated teachers have not. And students and parents are silent. Silent, silent, silent. So who's supposed to go and fight for you? Who is supposed to go into Kingston and demand that the students who are doing CPA get a math teacher back? Who is supposed to go into Kingston and stand up in hot sun to demand that your child gets an English teacher, or a geography teacher, or a literature teacher, or chemistry teacher, or whatever teacher? Who's supposed to do that? Who? Because you love your child, You love your child. You love your child so much that you stood by and cheered when the unvaccinated teacher was removed from the classroom. That's how much you love your child. You jump up when your child's unvaccinated teacher was removed, but you didn't know it was going to come back and bite in the butt. and now it's biting, who's going to stand up for you and your child? We expect to do it. Me? Mm-mm. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. When you get down there and somebody calls me and tells me that you're on the protest line and you're demanding to get back your child's teachers, I'll come and join you. I promise you that. I will come and I will stand with you. But don't expect me, don't expect Kenson, don't expect Patricia, don't expect Nikisha, don't expect Corinne, don't expect Chanel, don't expect Kayan, don't expect Chanel, don't expect the usual to go down there and do it. We're not going to do it. We've been standing up for ourselves for a very long time, and you need to learn to stand up for you. And if what has happened in terms of reinstating sanitation workers does not wake you up to the fact that this government does not care about you and does not care about your child's education, I don't know what else will. It's the duty of the Ministry of Education to ensure that all schools are treated equally and that all schools have their teachers and they're all up to the same level. But again, you sat by and you did nothing. You said nothing when Camilo Gonzalez stood in Parliament and said that rural schools don't get as much as town schools. And you did nothing. Half of you who live in the countryside, you could barely make it to send your child to a town school. But guess what? You have to send your child to a town school because you want your child to get the best education. And in 2022, it is a downright shame and disgrace that children have to be sent to Kingstown to get a good education. You should be able to live in Georgetown, send your child to a school in Georgetown or a school in North Union or wherever else is around there, knowing fully well that your child is getting the same education as a child long at Pittibadell, as a child in Beckwith, as a child in Kingstown, as a child in Canawan. We should have equity. We should have that, but we don't. And so students in Georgetown, students over the river, they have to battle to come down to Kingstown. And you as parents, you know it. You know it. I don't have to sit and tell you that all schools are not equal. That is why when your child don't do well at common entrance, you're calling your friends who you know are teachers at this school and that school to get them in this one here because you know this one here that the ministry when I put them in as good. And that's not me bashing schools. That's me speaking facts. You know. So ministry put your child at school, and you're ringing down my phone or you're ringing down somebody else's phone. Ministry put them at A, but I don't want them to go to A because I hate A, don't get this, and I hate A, don't get that, and I hate this and I hate that. So you want them to go at C. So you want the teachers at C now to try to get them in for you. Why aren't you on the streets demanding that all educational institutions be treated fairly and be on the same level? We are still not at this point where we could zone our children. We are still at the point where we cannot zone our children because of the disparity in the way resources are allocated. Hey, Viola, and everybody in St. Vincent knows this. A teacher leaves a school in the countryside and goes away to study. They specialize in a particular area. When they come back, what's the first thing that the ministry thinks of doing? Placing them in a town school. They can't go back to the little country school. The little country school don't deserve them. The little country schools don't deserve them, so they can't go back to no country school. And Curtis, it is still the case in 2022. I left convent in 1995. This is 2022, and it is still the same. And people want to talk about how advanced we are, and we've had an education revolution. Where have we had the revolution? Where have we had the revolution when still in primary school, 2, 3 students sitting on a bench? Hmm? You can't get a scholarship, an athletic scholarship from primary school to secondary school. You can't get an athletics scholarship from secondary school to A levels. When you look at the way we give out our national scholarships, you're like, everything is still academics. Still academics. You can't get a creative arts scholarship from primary to secondary, from secondary, but we still think that we've come such a far way in education. Yeah, we've come a far way away from what is supposed to be good. We've come a far away from what is supposed to be good. Now, the other issue with this return of the sanitation workers, let me see if I could find these foolish people. Let me see. Where Cuthbert or Jimmy or one of them was saying that they were not, sanitation workers were not on the list to be sent home. Now, if they were not on the list to be sent home, then why were they sent home? It means now that what happened to them is illegal. And I trust that they have a lawyer and that there will be some sort of class action suit. Because you can't just wake up overnight and send home somebody. So let me see. Let me see. I think I found it. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. It's not that. There we go. Okay, that's not the one. Well, that is the article, but that's not the screen I want to use. Let me stop this and let me share where I buried it. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Now watch the autishness here now, eh? So somebody says, Cummins said that the PS should be fired. I think he should be fired. I think he should be fired. I think Jimmy should be fired. I think Ralph should be fired. I think every last one of them should be fired. Now, this is what it says. Opposition spokesperson on health matters, Daniel Cummings, says the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health should be fired. He said Cuthbert nights should be dismissed because sanitation workers were forced to take a COVID-19 vaccine or quit their jobs last year. On February 23rd, Knights sent a memo to the Chief Environmental Health Officer informing that the ministry was told that the vaccine mandate did not apply to sanitation workers. The memo, which became public this week, said that the workers could return to their post if they wish. Minister of Health Sinclair Jimmy Prince told Eyewitness News on Tuesday that his ministry had made an error and the affected workers would be paid for the time they have been off the job. Let me tell y'all something. Hey, Amory, good night. And this article is on Eyewitness News. Yeah? So you give them the Ralph. Good? You say to them, is either they get vaccinated or you go home. You get them the Ralph. So they decided, all right, whether they decided or whatever the case is, they were forced to make a choice, and so they lost well, I can't say choice. It was not a choice, it was an ultimatum. Let me not get my words here mixed up. They were not given a choice, they were given an ultimatum. And so they were sent home. And now we're saying to them, oh, sorry, it was an error. So it's the money that you missed out, you're going to get it back. That's not enough. That's not enough. I am certain that many of these people have spent many nights crying themselves to sleep. Many days and nights wondering how they're going to feed their children, how they're going to provide for their families, how they're going to pay their mortgage. That's stress. That's distress because of people like Cuthbert and others. Now, when was it decided that this was going to happen to these people? When Jimmy was happy for it to happen, it seems. It seemed that Cuthbert was happy for it to happen too. Because if they had love and concern for these workers, they would have been digging up and trying to find out from Simone and everybody else, oh, let's show this apply to my workers. But nobody was standing up for these workers. Nobody was standing up for them. And so here they are. And they're gonna tell them, all right, we give back the money. That's not enough. I hope these workers understand that they're entitled to far more than what the Ministry of the Ministry of Health is planning to give them. I hope these workers lawyer up and get their acts together. I hope so, because it isn't right. And we are allowing this government to get away with too many things. Now, Commissioner of Police Colin John. Because somebody explained to me what is wrong with the police commissioner of St. Vincent and Grenadines. Why is it Colin John is in court, as old people would say, every Monday morning with a traffic case? Why is that? Is it that Colin does not have anything to do in the commissioner's office? Is it that Colin does not understand what he is supposed to be doing? So Colin John went to court, lied on Ken Findlay. Where would they get the money to lawyer up? Well, there's some lawyers who are pro bono, and there's some who would work, and once it is settled, then they collect their money. I am sure that there are organizations available that fund these sort of labor issues. But yeah, once they come together and they get a collective, I think they fall under PSU. I think so. I'm not sure. But that's it too. They could do it through a union if they're in a union. Right? Yes. So Colin John went to court and Colin lied on Ken Findlay. Lied. The Commissioner of Police, Grenadines, Colin John, is a liar. A man made a post today, commented on a thing on Searchlight to say how he saw WhatsApp conversations with me harassing the police commissioner. As in, I'm messaging Colin to harass him. I want to know if this man is a lunatic or if he's Colin in disguise, because how could you make such a comment? I have never ever messaged Colin John to harass him. I messaged Colin John one time, the last time I messaged him, and I said to him something like, how dare you send police officers to my house to arrest me and to arrest me in front of my child and all of that. I messaged Colin and I told him that. That I mean laughing at Colin, that is me being upset and expressing how upset I was. And Colin John could tell y'all that anything I have to say to him, I say to his face. I'd have to WhatsApp him And you know what Colin John responds to me when I WhatsApp him and afternoon? Colin said, we ain't no friend and I must stop WhatsApping. So he blocked me. He blocked me. So those of you out here with this impression that I WhatsApping Colin John to harass him, harassment is a crime. I don't WhatsApp Colin to harass him. I don't WhatsApp Colin, period. If I have to say something to Colin when I meet Colin face to face, I say what I have to say to him. Like last time when we were close and I said to him plainly, tune into my live. Be sure to be on my live because I'll be talking about you. That's not harassment. That's an advertisement. So you honestly get it right. But yes, Colin John is a little less. Here's Colin now in another matter. Like, what is wrong with Colin? What is wrong with your police commissioner? What is wrong with him? Let me see if I could find the other article with Colin now. Unfortunately, the page that this article is on, I don't even want to go on the page. I don't even want to go on this dirty page. I don't. But the article is here. The article is here, so that is the only reason why I say I'll go on this page. The article is here. But I cannot to be on this page. I cannot to be on this page. All right. So here is your police commissioner. I'm pulling up the article. Now tell me, I messaged a friend of mine today and I asked him, I said, could you please send me a pair of white gloves so I could hand them to Colin so that Colin could get something proper to go and direct traffic? Because it seems as though Colin is itching to be on the streets. So he needs to be properly outfitted for his task. Seems as though he no longer wishes to be police commissioner. He needs to be a cop on the beat. I think Colin is probably shocked that he is police commissioner. I know I am. And I'm certain many people are. I'm quite certain. So let me go here and show you this. Oh dear. So there's Mr. Colin again. Another traffic matter. Colin, like he wants to get more traffic matter than a traffic police. So now listen to this whole story here. Tell me if not bag of lies here again. I believe the woman. I don't know her, but I believe her. It says here, the court is currently considering the decision in a case wherein a woman was charged for causing an unnecessary obstruction to the free flow of traffic after she refused to follow directions of the Commissioner of Police, Colin John. So defendant Zuleika Lewis stood trial at the Serious Offences Court on Wednesday, February 20th, blah, 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 blah. They said that she committed on July 4th. Firstly, that she, being the driver of PD 167, did fail to remove the said vehicle when requested to do so by a police officer. It sounds like Ken Findlay all again, right? Collins said that Ken Findlay was asked to move the vehicle and he refused to move it. Ken was blocked in by protesters of vans and everything. But Colin and them charged Ken to see he not move his vehicle when instructed. All right. When it was placed in such a position so as to cause obstruction to the free flow of traffic. Secondly, that she did willfully allow the said vehicle to stand on such a road as to cause unnecessary obstruction to the free flow of traffic. What these police officers do under this idiot who they have a police commissioner. And for those of you who are upset, like the fool over there on that page, and say that I call them names, I don't call them names. This is not me calling them names. I'm using adjectives and adjectival phrases to describe these people. That's it. If the hat fits, they shall wear it. Strange that they could get a hat to fit Colin, but anyways. So it continues. Prosecutor Sergeant 444 Kenny Jones told call commissioner as his first witness. Well, from the minute Colin reached by his stand, I would just be like, seriously? Because all I would be thinking was which one of these statements, is actually anything close to the truth. I would just say everything has been a lie. All right, so Colin comes up to the witness. To witness. And Colin says that he saw the motor vehicle, PD167, in the road while a truck traveling in the opposite direction was also stopped. He observed that the truck had one or two vehicles behind it. There's always one or two vehicles, always one or two vehicles. John explained that he realized that none of the vehicles were moving because of traffic congestion. He said that he also observed that any competent driver, so in other words, Colin saying that the woman retarded, driving PD 167 could have proceeded without causing an accident. How Colin know the woman's driving skills? How? How does Colin know the woman's driving skills? I wouldn't move neither. He said also he observed that, right. So he was dressed in plain clothes. The COP alighted his vehicle and approached the vehicle in question. He said that the defendant was driving. John said he asked her in a polite manner. I don't know, calling John to be polite? Lawyer. To proceed. And she said in a rude manner that she's not moving and that it was them who came upon her. Okay. The commissioner said he offered her directions. I could see Colin offering directions. Making her move it so and so thing this so make it up. That's how I could see Colin offering directions. Okay. So the commissioner said that he offered her directions to maneuver past the vehicle, but recalled that Lewis again said she was not moving. John said he removed his police identification from his pocket, showed it to her, and said, he is the commissioner of police and he's instructing her to proceed. I would have said, Colin, proceed away. Lewis apparently replied that she knew who he was and that she wasn't moving like who ain't know who Colin be. Who ain't know Colin and them feel somebody else they should free them. Obviously. He asked her for her driver's license and this was handed over, at which point he took a photograph of it. I was not handing over my license. I was not handing over my license to Colin or to any other police officer. I was holding up my license. Whatever you want to read on my license, you could read it off, but you were not going to get my license because you have no reason to seize my license. So you weren't going to get my license, Colin. I would have held it up. And if you didn't want to push your hand in my vehicle, that would have been a whole other issue. So anyways, so he took a photograph of it. This woman is very nice. And her vehicle license plate. He then returned the license and told her she would hear from him. To which she apparently responded, I don't want to hear from you. But I would have told him the same thing too. What you want? Why would I need to hear from you? I'm not interested in you. The COP WhatsApped a photo of the license and plate number to the traffic department and instructed them to charge her. So nobody else have come to see what happened. They're just taking lying Colin words and they're going with what he's saying. The traffic was cleared when the truck reversed. Okay. Now, Colin continues. So the lawyer Charles is questioning him. So Charles said to him that it wasn't a willful obstruction, and Colin John said it was. The lawyer followed up with a question of whether this was because of rudeness, to which John replied that it wasn't because she could have passed and she didn't. Yes, Colin knows everything. On the side of the defense, Lewis recalled that she was heading to Sand Hill to collect farm supplies and was taking the Belay route because she lives in Korea. She was being prompted by questions from her lawyer, during which she disclosed that she drives an Audi T3 and that the road is one of the worst roads in Korea. Well, darling, all the roads in St. Vincent are the worst roads here. You know, Pastor Belmont. On the date in question, she said she left her gap and was driving along when she saw a big truck speeding coming up. Okay, which caused her to stop. She said the truck driver approached and was basically at her side. As his behavior apparently showed her he was not familiar use of the road, she told the truck driver that he has to be careful, and that he would have gone over the embankment. Lewis said he started about the whole woman not being able to drive thing. I could imagine. All right. She says, as they were having a discussion, she noticed a vehicle pull up behind her and a man approached. So, in other words, Colin going where he going, thinks that or thought that one convenience she holding here. She holding here. So he will come out and tell you, move your vehicle because I need to go where I going and you're blocking me. That's basically what happened. So anyhow, this man approached the side of my vehicle. He stood over the vehicle and rested his hand on top. Lewis said he leaned over and told her to move the vehicle, and she told him that it would be impossible to do that because the vehicle is very low and the edge that I am on is very high, and so it would be impossible for me to move it. This is the road that I've driven every day, blah, 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 blah. Lewis said that the man approached the vehicle. She thought it was just a random driver, given that he was standing over the top of the vehicle and she couldn't see. That's why we need pepper spray in this country, Spray them. The defendant recalled that after she couldn't move the man spoke in dialect and he said, if you know who I be. Like, you know who I be? You know who I be? That is Colin. She leaned forward, saw who it was, and she chuckled and told him, yes, I know who you are. I love this woman here. I don't know this woman, but I love she. Right. And after that, she said he took her ID, went back to his vehicle. She presumed to get his phone to take a photo during that time. She said the truck reversed. Now, if the truck reversed, when the other vehicles that Collins had been behind the truck, anyways, this is Colin we're talking about. Lewis said that she couldn't move until she got back her ID, although the traffic was clear. Because I guess the truck man see Colin now, and he figured that he was going to get charged. And so he fled the scene. But he didn't realize that Colin only business there was to charge this woman. I want to ask Colin John a question here. Because Colin John seems to have, like most of these men in the ULP, he seems to have an issue with women. Colin John, Commissioner of Police, seems to be quite misogynistic. Now, that whole video, that tape, that was released recently with somebody sounding very much like Colin, cussing off a female officer, and the female officer did say it was Colin, and it was supposed to be under investigation, so Ralph said. That whole, conversation where she said, oh, it's because she not take perfume, and she not, basically because she did not live in bed with him, why he was behaving the way he was behaving. Colin John, I want to ask you a question. Do you like women? And I don't mean if you like women as in if you're gay or you're straight. I don't mean it that way. I want to know if you like and respect women. Because it seems to me that you, Colin John, have a serious issue with women. Now, having had 2 failed marriages, I could see you being a bit shy, as they say. But this whole, like you have a vendetta against women, Colin. I need to chill yourself. It seems as though you have a vendetta against women. You need to stop it. Because one of these days, Colin, you're to mess with the wrong woman. She might have a crazy husband, I like to call people crazy. Or she might have a crazy son. Or she herself might be stone mad. And you mess with her, and she would mess you. Colin, you need to chill out. You need to chill out. And if you really and truly want to go to be a traffic police, let me know. Nobody want to buy the gloves, so I would have to make one for you. So you would send me a print of your hand, and I would make a glove. I will glue it together. I can't promise you I will sew it. I will glue it together, and you can get a pair of white gloves to go under traffic. But whatever it is that you have against women calling, I suggest you seek some kind of psychiatric help and fix it. Seek help, Colin. Seek help. Because at this point, you ain't looking good out here. You ain't looking good. Now, before I leave here tonight, I didn't want to go on that searchlight thing. If you've been following my page, you would realize why I didn't want to go on that searchlight page. Searchlight newspaper right now disgusts me. Totally. And I'm going to talk about this. Those of you on my page, you would have read what I had to say. But I'm going to talk about it now. I'm going to talk about it now. Because, he is an angry bully. Now, when I said shy, I meant, they say once bitten, twice shy, that kind of thing. But it will have to be once bitten, twice bitten, 3 times shy. Mm-hmm. But he needs to go and see somebody. He seems to have anger issues. Colin needs to go and see somebody. He needs to go and speak to somebody because he can't be out here doing these sort of things. Because it seems as though he's always in court. And it seems as though there's always some kind of woman and some kind of traffic thing. Like, what is wrong with Colin? What is wrong with Colin? What? Okay. So, let me talk about this now. And after tonight, it's in the wind. It's in the wind. So, last week Friday, was it last week Friday? I think it was last week Friday. Or it might have been a Friday before. Time leads into time. Whichever Friday it was. Let me see the date here. I honestly can't remember now. Okay, so it was last week Friday the 4th. I went to court. And they amended the charge against me to see that instead of me blocking or obstructing Ralph from going into Parliament, I attempted to do so. That's what Buju is now saying. That I attempted because Buju, Trevor Bailey, is the only in my case. Good? Just Buju. Somebody asked me the question today, who is the officer to lead the charge? And to be honest, I can't remember now. I think it's Corporal Edwards at CID. I think it's her. But anywho, Buju is the only witness. And the charge has changed from obstructing Ralph because obviously there's no point in our history where Ralph Everett Gonsalves has ever been blocked from attending Parliament. No point in our history that has ever happened. So they cannot prove that I blocked him from Parliament. So now they're saying that I attempted to do so. Now, how is Buju going to prove that I attempted to block Ralph from Parliament? Or the prosecution, whatever. I'm seriously trying to come up with all sorts of things in my head. Because when I'm teaching argumentative essays, I always tell my students, even though you're for or against, you're going to write, the points to support your stance. So if you're for, you're writing 3 points to support for, and you're going to write 3 points to support against. Because when you write your essay, you are going to bash, rebut those points that go against your main idea or ideas. Well, Curtis, that's a very good question. Curtis asking, how can the officer prove mens rea? Can he read your mind? Like, honestly, though, how can he prove intent? How can Buju prove intent? And what is Buju's idea of me attempting to block Ralph? Because when they gave the first set of witness statements, right? When they said that I had interest in organizing protests and organizing procession and taking part in not protests, procession and meeting and all the hogwash. Buju's witness statement then said that I held up my hand and I signaled to the crowd, good, and was it that they followed me around? I don't know, some nonsense, some nonsense. I can't really remember all of these things because it's nonsense. And I try not to fill my head with dotishness. So I can't remember all of Buju and them stupidity. I can't. So yes. So it's now that I attempted to. Hey Rosalie. Now anybody who was on the protest line on August 5th, and even if you weren't on the protest line, if you were on my Facebook Live, you knew where I was when Ralph was entering Parliament. And I had to laugh a couple of days after all of this thing happened because I said, you know what? I was always complaining. I was always saying that I wasn't lucky enough ever on a protest to be at the gate when he was going in. I laughed and I was like, But then when all this happened, I said, you were never at that gate because of this. As in, I was never at any of the gates when he was going in because this was coming. And had I been at any of those gates and these accusations came up, it would have been so impossible for me to go against them or for my lawyers to even, But I was never at the gates. I was near the gate to see this man when we were on the protest line. And that's a fact. That's a fact that can be proven by looking at any video in anybody's life. And in to go even further, when Ralph was entering Parliament on August 5th, I knew exactly where I was. I knew exactly where I was. And if you were to look at my life, you would know where I was. And you would hear me speaking. And there was even a point on the live where I was leaving my position and I saw Colin hustling to go to where I was. And I turned around and I followed him back there. And when I followed him back there, go look at my life. Go and look at my life from August 5th, and you would see what I'm talking about. I am not going to sit down and explain it to you. You would see. And that is why I say that people like the DPP, Sajila McDowell, and the others, Waste the taxpayers' money. Waste. Well, that is a question to ask Velda. So Velda is asking, how could you attempt to block him? And all of the police around him and nobody arrested me. Buju was there. Buju was there. So if Buju saw me attempting to block Ralph, what is size of Buju? What the size of me? Buju don't need to call anybody. Look at the size of Buju and look at the size of me. Buju don't need to call anybody to arrest me. Buju himself could come straight down to Adriana come. We go around barracks. Why didn't Buju do that? If Buju knew on that day that I was attempting to obstruct this man, why didn't Buju arrest me? If that was a criminal offense, why didn't he arrest me? Why did not? Why is it they waited until days after to do so? Why? Okay. Now I'll get into why I don't want to go on Searchlight paper right now. I don't. Now that thing happened with Ralph, right? And he got injured. And the very night that Ralph got injured, somebody sends me a screenshot. It was a screenshot from Searchlight newspaper. Was there it was a screenshot that was using their logo and whatever else. And I think the headline was something like um, Teacher Adriana King, something to do with assassination or whatever it is, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves. So the gist of it was to say that I had attempted an assassination on this man. If if I have to attempt an assassination of Ralph Gonsalves, it won't be done that way. And I don't have sins to waste on Ralph. I don't want Ralph's hands on my blood. On Ralph's blood on my hands. I do not want that. So I'm not gonna waste the time for sitting up for trying to think of ways to assassinate Ralph. For what? For what? So, anyways, that thing started. Okay, so Helen is saying the news removed it. You mean the news as in the newspaper? So yeah, Viola said they wanted to take me on. Well, take her on. So that night, I got that on my phone, and I was like, "What the hell?" I said to Bushti, okay, so I said to Bushti, I said, Bushti, I need to use a car for some time. I need to do a live because somebody out here that is trying to get my tail killed. I say I need to use your live, your car. So I go into Bush T's car and I did a live that night. And I said that I knew for a fact that Camilo Gonzalez was capable of what was done because I've worked with Camilo on Focus Magazine and I know he has the skills. And if you all remember, I said all of this, I said on a live that years before he had done a flashlight something using a template that was identical to Searchlight's front page. Yes, they had definitely jumped the gun. So I said it wasn't something that I thought was beyond Camilo. And I kept getting the fourth and I kept getting it. And I kept getting calls and messages from my friends across the region because it was in Antigua, it was in St. Lucia, it was in Dominica, it was in Trinidad, it was all over the place. Plus, of course, it was on TikTok, it was being shared in Canada, in the US, it was all over this globe. And I messaged Jude Knights, who works at Searchlight. I think Jude is assistant editor and he's probably in charge of layout and publishing. Now, I know this because of the fact, yes, because of the fact that Jude, Camilo, and I worked on the government's magazine, Focus. Jude um, is who taught me how to use Quark Express. I also got some help from Ken Dyer at the Printry. So between Jude and Ken, that was my training in Quark Express while I worked at the Agency of Public Information as an information officer. So June and I go back to 2005 around there. So I messaged him and I said something to the effect like, why would y'all print something like this without anything from the police or anybody to confirm it? And, I would have said that it's reckless and it's putting me in danger and all of that. And even the morning when I got up, I'm there saying to him, y'all need to issue an apology. And his thing was, no, they don't need to issue an apology because they've already distanced themselves from it. I didn't sit on Searchlight's page. I didn't see the um the, the headline. I didn't see it on Searchlight's page. I got it via WhatsApp. I never saw it on their page. And when he said that, I was like, all right, we'll deal with these papers and everything after these charges are gone. Who we have to look into and who we have to sue in terms of newspapers and so who pushed that story, we will deal with them. So I just let it be, and I said, all right. Now we're all adults, and as far as I am concerned, we are allowed to have our political biases or political affiliation. Thank you, Helen. I said, you know, well, we have our political affiliation. So in my mind, you could support ULP, I could support NDP, and we could still sit and have lunch. We could still sit and meet each other and talk and laugh or whatever the case is. And so I thought that was the situation with Jude and me. Straight. I don't. I don't. If I see my shouting, if he's going in the same direction I'm going in, you want to ride? Let's go. And I could go on and on about the relationship that we've had. Now, because of what happened to me on Friday in the court, where the matter was changed, I came home and I started looking through some online photos from different people just to see if I can get photos to show exactly where I was. I bounced up on a photo on Reuters, which is I think they're based in the UK, and they had a photo, sorry, well, you could say a photo feature on the fire that was in front of the prisons. And I'm there looking for myself. I'm looking, and I spot Corinne. I spot Corinne because of her hat. Corinne had on a kind of mustard pumpkin hat. And, well, that style. So when I saw Corinne, I saw somebody next to Corinne with a black cap with some writing in the front. I knew that was me because while we're at the fire, there were times when Corinne and I, were right there and so forth. So I said, it's very unlikely that those two persons are somebody else. Couldn't be other people. It had to be us. So I looked to see who Reuters had credited with the photo. And I went to look for that person on Facebook. I found him and I'm looking through his photos. And then I realized that he now had a photo, which was a screenshot of a live that I had. So here's the live. If again that you've been following, you'd remember the live. You'd remember that I had a live where I was talking about the fact that the police, under Colin John as leader idiot, had Ralph like a sitting duck in a motorcade. I said that the police announced Ralph's arrival. Police did have the screenshot, announced Ralph's arrival. They gave his route and they asked people to come out because they were supposed to have this grand motorcade into Kingston, starting from Argyle. And I said, how irresponsible and dangerous could that be? Because one, you're saying somebody just tried to assassinate the man and you don't have anybody in custody. Two, you're saying he had a concussion, but yet you have him in a noisy motorcade coming down the road. And so on my live, I talked about those things. A young lady commented on the live and she said, excuse me, because I was saying that when they were coming in, because of all the music, they could not properly protect the Prime Minister because anything could have happened and they would not have been able to hear and their reaction time would have been slowed down. And Highly Flavored commented and she said, what's it? She said, yeah, people could have been shooting at them from whatever angle. And I saw the comment. And when you finish a live, you would go through what was there and you would respond to those who you could respond to. And so I did that. I responded to her and I said, yes, that's true. And they would know where to return fire. That little thing there was taken. And I didn't know this until another friend messaged me and said, and showed me that Fitzhuggins, the Consul General in Canada, Fitzhuggins had a thing on his Facebook page where he was basically calling, I wonder if sometimes they're talking about these things and people don't really understand. Let me see, post. I should be able post from me. Post from you. Right. Here it is. Here it is. Let me show you, man. Share screen. Share. Good. So this is it here. So he said, could someone please send this to PM and tell him to be very, very careful. Remove the peaceful from protest. Pour by all means necessary by December. Now this. And so he has Miles' screenshot there. Good?
And not only was his
Okay. All right, so that video would have been from my life. Let me just play it. And not only was he in this motorcade, but as people are saying on the live, there was amplified music. One of the vehicles before is one of those kind of carnival vehicles that they use with speakers blasting and with a guy from the Agency of Public Information announcing that the Prime Minister is coming. Here is Ralphie. Ralphie is home. So if you had the intention of doing Ralphie something, here they were. Not only announcing in the morning, but they had music blasting to tell you that Ralphie was coming. They had a man on a microphone to tell you that Ralphie was coming. And there's Ralphie sitting in his vehicle with his windows open. And I'm supposed to be on here, behaving very sympathetic, because all of this makes sense. All of this makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. If you fear for the man's safety, everything that happened makes me question whether or not you really were worried about him. And then Fran, at the back of this truck-looking trailer thing with the music is our national flag. And our flag was flown upside down from Argyle to Kingston. Our flag was flown upside down. Upside down. Now, let's talk about the motorcade. At the roadside, if they had 40 people at the roadside, they had plenty. Because if you go on my page, there's a video there, and there was nobody on the road. And so I wanted to know now, or then, how Fiona and them feel, what is their understanding now of the popularity of Ralph Gonsalves? Because there he was, bragging about how popular the Prime Minister is. And I remember the lady saying, oh, people voted him.
And there's the comment today from Highly Flavored. There's the comment.
It is not about head vote, but about constituencies.
There's the comment.
Does not understand our system. But anyways, I wonder.
And these people took this to sell this narrative. That's we were planning, or I was planning, to assassinate the man. So anyways, I go on this photographer's page and there is this screenshot and I'm there thinking to myself, but I've never seen anybody else but Fitz with the screenshot. So obviously I'm curious now. So I click on the screenshot and it takes me to Augustine Ferdinand's page. And I'm trying to get to see the comments. But I couldn't get to see the comments because I got distracted. I realized that on Augustine's page, it was the entire screenshot. Notice Fitz cropped the screenshot. So on Fitz's page, you're just seeing the messages. On Augustine's page, you're seeing the whole thing. I keep telling you, Augustine Ferdinand is not the brightest crown in the box. So he posted the screenshot with the under part that says comment. So you're now able to see the icon, the profile picture of the person who took the screenshot. Exactly, Helen. They tried to use it against me and to put my life trying to do. So when I looked at the profile pic of the person who would have taken the screenshot, or the account that would have taken the screenshot, whichever word you want to use for whatever reason. So the screenshot was taken while the account of Jude Knights was active. So one could reason that the account was taken, that the screenshot was taken by Jude, I don't think Jude has ever reported that his Facebook account was hacked or otherwise misused. So one could fairly assume that the screenshot came from Jude Knight. And when I tell you that Jude and I go back from since 2005, and I looked at this thing, and when I tell you that that thing hurt me, that thing hurt me. That I have been betrayed by people before, I've been hurt before. I mean, once you're alive and you've had relationships, you've been hurt, you've experienced it all. But that thing hurt me for so. Like I sat down and I looked at this thing and I was like, what? What? You're somebody who's been in my vehicle. You're somebody who I would have spoken to when I see my place was broken into and all that. You're somebody who I consider to be a friend. We might not have the same political ideologies, but to think that you would take something so innocent in order to start a narrative to put my life in danger, my child's in danger, my whole family and friends, to put all of us in danger. I was like, wow. Wow. So anyhow, I messaged him on WhatsApp and I asked him, I said, you know, what was this about? What did you gain? And he didn't answer. To this day, he has not responded. And I waited for a response. I waited for a response. I waited for a response. But of course, I'm waiting for the response and my mind is racing. And I started thinking, you know what? It's because of all of this why they came so hard at me, arrested me, had me in jail for 2 nights and 2 days and all of that. Because when the police came, their thing was, for questioning. And by the time I got down to CID, I was told I was there for inciting violence. And I was like, what do you mean by inciting violence? What kind of violence would have been I would have been inciting? So that happened, and I spent 2 days and 2 nights sleeping on a wooden structure because all of this thing from the Searchlight headline to Jude's screenshot, all of that took me straight to jail. And when I say that Jude is dead to me, he is dead to me. I have an ability to block people from my mind. Like I could see you and forget that we were ever friends. Jude and I can't be friends. For me now, he doesn't exist. I don't know him. He doesn't exist. I do not know him. And with time, as time goes by, it would really be registered on my brain that I don't know him. I don't know how I'm able to do this, but it happens. Once I see somebody is dead to me, my brain goes through this process of erasing every single memory of that person. And it's as though I've never met that person. Like I've had people ask me, most recently a friend of mine was asking me, how is so and so? And I'm like, who? What are you talking about? And I thought that, well, before I even got to that point, I thought she was talking, mistakenly to somebody else on WhatsApp. So I was waiting for her to just say, oops, sorry, wrong person. But she never did. And I couldn't figure out why she was asking me about this person I know nothing about. Only to realize that I knew exactly who she was talking about. But my mind just, that person is dead to me. I don't forget about him. Don't forget about him. So because of all this maliciousness and all of these directives from people like Colin and Ralph and Fitz and whoever else, I ended up being placed in a prison cell away from my child for 2 days and 2 nights. Jude has children. Jude has a young daughter who he loves. who I adore. And I want to know how he would have felt if I had done that to him and he had ended up in jail away from his daughter. Because I know what he went through with that child's mother and, you know, to get her settled and everything. I know. And he knows of my situation. So when I, think about it, I just think that this man is pure evil. Pure evil to push that narrative. And I am very convinced. I am very, very convinced. And I will still say there's nothing that could convince me that that headline that went out on the night that Ralph got his head scraped, there's nothing that could convince me that that headline did not originate from Searchlight newspaper and it did not originate from Jude. Nothing could convince me otherwise. Because it seemed to me that there was this big cooked up narrative that was supposed to be pushed. And it all started with that screenshot. Well, not with the screenshot, sorry, with the Searchlight article headline. It all started with the Searchlight headline. And maybe Claire Keys saw the headline and figured, shh, this might get us in some hot water if we don't have any police confirmation. And so maybe that is why it was pulled from Searchlight. And I have seen where in the past months that Searchlight newspaper has made attempts at targeting me. Now, that's a very bold statement to make, and I make no apologies, Claire. I make no apologies. I feel as if your paper is targeting me because when the issue came out with the students at grammar school, here your headline, mysterious grades at grammar school in English and other subject areas. Why wasn't it social studies and other subject areas or history and other subject? No, in English and other subject areas. Because for months, Adriana was a teacher who wasn't teaching, who wasn't doing anything. So yeah, we will hammer it home. But then, boy, Helen, this is more than evil. When everything was cleared up, and don't forget, Claire, that I will leave this party, Claire. Claire and Jude, I don't know which one of you did the interview or whoever you are sent to do the interview for that article. But we will leave that. We will leave that here. We will leave that. But I know. And so I could say yes, that whole article there was to put negative focus on me. So when the truth came out in relation to the grades, and it was revealed that all my students did pass, every single one of them did pass. There were only 3 grade 2s in the mix, and I believe 19 grade 1s. However, the maths work out, I am a mathematician. And for the first time, grammar school had received 100% passes in English. But guess who did not find it necessary to print this? Searchlight newspaper. Searchlight newspaper. So when I say I don't want to go on Searchlight site, it's just that sometimes Searchlight might print something that somebody else might not have. But Searchlight newspaper right now, I find them repulsive. I think about them and I just get fixed. This whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, was orchestrated with the help of Jude and Searchlight. And like I said, maybe at some point it hit clear that, you know what, they could end up getting a major lawsuit if the government doesn't have everything in place to set me up. And so they pulled the headline. That's what I think happened. I think at some point she said, "Are you sure they have everything on this girl? Is everything set up?" And figured, mm-mm, mm-mm. And so it was pulled. Because Drew told me plainly, oh, there's no need for them to apologize. I'm like, y'all defamed me. My face was plastered all over because of that. And you're telling me that there's no reason for you to apologize. There's no reason for you to retract and say, you know, there's an error here, whatever the case is, nothing. Really? Helena trying to read what he said. It did. They declare the glory for the. No. Mm-mm. They said nothing about the new grades. Nothing about the new grades. Nothing. Nothing. And I said it that they won't say it. I said it. I made a post and I said that I bet Searchlight newspaper would never write a story to correct what they had first published. And I was quite right. Because from what I have seen, is that once anything is involved, and it's my name, once it's my name involved, like for instance, that last interview, that if Kay did not do that interview, I was not going to speak to them. If Kay had not done that interview, I was not going to speak to them. I'm not going to speak to them because my attorney isn't around and I don't want to speak to them. No, I simply would not have spoken to them. But Kay did. And as I was standing there, I had to do the same. But Searchlight newspaper, I will never renew my subscription to that paper. And I would never advise anyone to subscribe to Searchlight newspaper. I won't. I won't. I won't. And even when they had the articles there in relation to my aunt, the bias again was very strong. Quite strong. And I made a couple posts about that too. As I said on March 6th, I said, dear Searchlight, when all are done with my name, please tell me. I would like it back as soon as possible, thanks. Searchlight has never once reached out to me to make any sort of an apology or to say, well, okay, we don't know how that happened. Nothing. Absolutely nothing from Searchlight newspaper and nothing from Jude. But all I have to say here tonight is this. Be careful of the people you keep around you. Be careful. Because had anybody said to me that people like Jude was behind all of this, I would have said no. I would have said no because I honestly, when I saw Fitz with that screenshot, I kept asking myself, Who could be so wicked, so malicious, so evil to take that screenshot, to push it around as support for me having some sort of devious plan to end Ralph Everett Gonzalez? Pim Erica. I kept asking that because I know there are people on my Facebook page who don't like me. I don't think I don't know. I know. And I went under that posted from Fit and I read the comments. And anybody who was on my friends list who said something irrational or disgusting or malicious, whatever, I deleted them as a friend. So there are many people who I just totally deleted or blocked because of that post from Fitz. Because I'm saying, you are people who would have been on the live, you would have seen what was said. You're people who could have called me and asked a question, Adrian, what was this about? But there you were on Fit's page running me down and all over Facebook. How she could do that? That's so irresponsible for her to do. Why would she say that? Why would she be sitting and planning this? And I'm there reading these comments and thinking to myself, wow, it does really know who for your boy. But I didn't know there was something bigger to be revealed until about 2 days ago. And I wash my hands from Jude Knights. I wash my hands. I wash my hands from that man. Because what he did to me, what he did to my family, what he did to my friends, evil. Pure evil. Nothing more. You could like me or not like me. You could share my political ideologies or not. You could support the party I support or not. But when you see you come to put my loved ones in danger, you cross the line. When you put my loved ones in danger, you cross the line. And that's what they did. So far, the only names I have is Jude, Augustine, and Fitz. Those are the only three names I have thus far to blame for these things. But I know for certain the rest will be revealed because darkness cannot win. Cannot win. And the light will continue to shine. And as I said on my post this morning, I was made for a time like this. And at times it might seem a little bit difficult to continue. I will continue. I will press on. I will take my moments like everybody else and sit down and just, feel defeated. But guess what? You see this woman here? I know how to get up. I know how to get up. Watch Helen. I know how to get up. Fall 7 times. Get up 8. That's me. That's me. So come at me with the lies. Talk about how ugly I am. Talk about how fat I am. Talk about how dunce I am. Talk about anything you want to talk about. But you see, when you reach the point where you put my loved ones in danger, nah, that's different. That's a different kind of flex there. That is a different kind of flex. I could ignore anything else. I could ignore anything else. But putting my loved ones in danger, I can't ignore that. I can't ignore that. I will forgive and I will erase you. Boom. But I can't ignore that. I can't ignore. Still I rise, Dolores. Still I rise. I can't ignore the fact that to show your political allegiance to a demon, you would create a narrative to endanger my loved ones. And Vincentians, you all need to understand that this is how it happens in this country here. Sometimes you see them talking about people, and you become engulfed, enthralled, mixed up in the whole narrative, and you help them to vilify people. You help them to set up people. You help them to paint people as bad and as whatever the case is. And you don't understand that you're simply being used. You're simply being used by them to end somebody's life. Whether it's to end the life physically, because that could have happened. We know how these labor people out here are, some of them. They like to get physical with people. We've heard how many government ministers and whoever been linked up to people's deaths around this country here. We know that. We know that they go to no end to end people's careers. We know that for a fact. The whole to end people's life is a suspicion, but we know that they go to any end to end people's careers and to make their families suffer and to just drag them right down. We know that. We know that. So when this happened, when Joe took that screenshot, when that searchlight captioned headline came out, there was no guarantee that on that night I might have even seen morning. There was no guarantee. And when I think about that, it shakes me up. It shakes me up to know that Jude and others, this was their plot. This was their narrative. This is what they wanted to destroy me. They wanted to destroy me. And do you think I could go and make a report to Colin John to say that these things were done and that he needs to investigate Searchlight to see whether that article was posted by them or not, or who posted it? You think I could go and tell Colin John, right, Colin John, to do this? I could. But there would be no investigation. There would absolutely be no investigation. That's the country that we have here. That you could have such an elaborate plot and you cannot go to the police to unravel it. All you would ever have, all I would ever have is just what I've said to you here. How this screenshot connects with that person who posted this and who said that. And what I have interpreted it all to mean. Because the police will not investigate this. The police will not investigate this. Just like they're not investigating Siche's murder. They will not investigate this. Correct, Helen. Victimization and corruption. And corruption. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But Jude, Fitz, Augustine, Ralph, whoever else name is supposed to call, don't worry. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Your last days are going to be better. And the seeds that you leave on this earth will bear the curse that your dishonesty, your maliciousness, your evil has placed upon them. That's not from me. That's the divine will of this universe. When you put out bad energy comes right back and slaps you in the face. Live good with people and good will follow you. When you sit down and come up with these kind of things to destroy people, to destroy their families, their friends, it comes back at you. It comes back at you with what, sometimes we look at people, and thank you, Juanita.
It says you're covered by many prayers. Fear not, for I am with thee. And that's God's promise. Sometimes you look at people and you see all sort of things happening to them. And you wonder, what's going on with he? What's going on with she? You know, I always say, look, it's probably their deeds. Probably their deeds just caught up to them. It just, I mean, like all of a sudden, you see this person walking on the street, good, good, good. And the very next day, they're in hospital and they lose their 5 fingers. By just it was yesterday. Sometimes are the deeds, you know? Sometimes are the deeds. Sometimes it's their deeds. Thank you, Carrie. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm believing in that. I am believing in that. And every time I think about this plot, I believe in it more. I believe in it more because you know what? That Searchlight article went out. And like I said, my name and photo plastered all over this world. And because of it, I have met some very important and interesting people in different countries. That's perhaps the only good that has come out of it, that I've been able to meet these people and get this message out in relation to what's happening here in this country, in relation to all the corruption, in relation to all the victimization. And with that note, I will end here tonight, and I shall see you as long as I'm permitted to. I shall see you next week. Take care, sleep well, and remember to cover me. I'll be asking you that. And if you know of any young businesswoman, Juanita, I don't know if you were on earlier, but I had a young lady on who does, well, she has a variety store, Value. Let me put it back up here one more time before I close off. So her business is called Value Zone, and that's a number. So she says like gift sets and all sorts of items. Now, I know you have good. So I know you have people the in Beckwith who into, like for instance the lady who made my blueberry cheesecake. You can link her up with me, and to next week she can be on for like the first 5 or so minutes just talking about what she does, or anybody else. So I want to do this every week when I come on. I want to have at least one young businesswoman. When it's a young businesswoman, as in the age, her age is, you know, or her business is young, whatever it is, whatever, however you want to attach the young. I want to have at least one businesswoman on here every week showcasing what they do. So the next one, Juanita, you would hook that up. Maybe Ronita could come and talk about her CMOS. I don't know, but whoever you select, let's go. Show Erica. Show. Just give her the address. She'll get it done. All right, people. So good night, and Juanita, we can talk on WhatsApp. Be good, and until I see you next time, take care.